What is going on, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood gamer PTK Bland back with another episode of the Shop Podcast, guys. It is Thursday, so it is about that time again. And we got some new faces here on the podcast, guys. They haven't been here for a while, actually. Shout out to all my regular podcast panel mates who usually hear. Predator, it's his son's birthday today, so shout out to him. He's not going to be here this week. Live should be coming sometime soon. You guys know how live do. Sometimes he late. He on CP time. Also, shout out to my boy Jarhead, and also shout out to my boy Chuck. Going through some family stuff right now. So, bruh, the link is there if you want to join, man. Just holla at us. You already know. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and dive right in, man. I got two of my good friends here. These guys have been on the podcast before, but it's been a little while, especially the guy who I'm going to go ahead and announce first. Now, if you guys don't know, Anchorman was the first person to really reach out when I started my YouTube channel. Well, not the very first person, but just to kind of the first person that I knew had a channel on YouTube to really reach out and say, "Hey, man, how you doing? Welcome to the community." He actually made my banner that I still have to this day. So little known fact. But anyway, Anchorman, shout out yourself, man.
I'm still surprised you kept it. That's my big surprise.
Yeah, I still got it, man.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, so yeah, I'm Anchorman, whatever. Just some guy.
This is a far cry from when he used to introduce himself, guys. He's toned down. I don't know what's going on today. It's a far cry from when the first introduction.
People are people, man.
Yeah.
Nobody's expressly special.
But it's been a while since you've been here, so shout out to you, man, for taking the time out today and just coming in and let's talking games, man. Appreciate you, man. You always been a good friend of mine, so appreciate you joining us today, man. It's gonna be fun. Got a lot of good questions lined up for sure. All right, for sure. And then
I'm ready to go.
For sure. Then I got my other buddy here. Kano has been on the show before a few weeks ago. Actually, it wasn't too long ago. Maybe a month and a half, something like that. Kano.
Yeah. But I said about a little bit.
About a month, probably. Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. So go ahead and shout out yourself, Kano, man.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This your boy, the real young Kano, the brutally honest gamer. It's been a little minute since I did podcasts in general. Going through a personal situation, but I'm back full effect, and I'm glad to be here talking this gaming goodness like we always be talking this gaming goodness. You dig what I'm saying? So let's get it, let's go, and let's have these positive vibes right now on these gaming topics. You dig?
For sure. Let's keep it popping. Let's get it started, guys. And as you always know, guys, any question I ask here for the panel is for you guys too in the chat. So the chat is live. Thanks for everybody for coming out, rocking with us here today, man. I don't know. Thursdays always feel like it's short notice for most people. When I put up the tweets in the morning, everybody's like, "Oh, it's Thursday already." Like, yeah, it's Thursday again. Yep. So it is that time. So let's dive right in, man. As you guys know, it is the last Thursday. I believe the last Thursday. Yeah, last Thursday of
last Thursday of the year.
Yeah, so and it's 2017 has been awesome. So I kind of wanted to start off what you guys are going to remember the most about 2017. Like, what sticks out in your mind about gaming in 2017? It could have been a personal experience. It could be something that happened overall to everybody. So kind of what sticks out. So we're going to start with you, Anchorman. Is there anything from 2017 you like, man, I probably won't forget that, or just something that's memorable? You good or bad, either way.
This year was just kind of, it depends on what kind of scale you're looking at. Like, I think we'll look back like maybe 3 years from now, back at this time, at least as far as Xbox people, as more of a, yeah, this was kind of a dark time, at least in terms of games, but like on everything else, they were firing on all cylinders. They were getting everything going. Like, it was just like features, overhauls, the X coming out, all that good stuff. Like, this year, they did some crazy stuff. Like, they really came at it. Like, was it custom gamer picks earlier this year? Mm-hmm. They had a whole new UI came out. They did before the X came out. All this crazy cool stuff. There's things like people didn't think were gonna happen. Like OG Xbox One OG Xbox backwards compatibility. Like, they really were going all out. All this stuff. I think in terms of Xbox, that's what people will remember. I think they'll kind of forget about the fact there really weren't too many games necessarily. But yeah, I think it'll just be a period. But I think this year was kind of like 2014. Where this was the year where, well, not necessarily the year after, but like what I mean more by is because I love 2014 in terms of gaming because it was a year where we really didn't have that many major franchises making notable work. and it was really fresh. Honestly, it was nice to have something different. And so now we're sitting here like in the third full year of the generation, and we actually had an opportunity to see some of the franchises come back. We had a new Wolfenstein, we had a new Evil Within, we had a new Shadow of Mordor sequel. We had a bunch of stuff, like things that came out this year or this generation finally got sequels.
Yeah. No, good point.
It was cool. And I think a lot of people are going to remember that like this was a year where it wasn't like there was no Red Dead, there was no
Halo.
Super huge no Halo, no Gears, no God of War, no Last of Us, no Uncharted. Well, no real Uncharted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, it was a real lull year, but it was fun because you got to play all these new experiences. Yeah. See things a little bit differently.
And that's the big takeaway. Honestly, when you mention that, for me in particular, there was no real like you said, it was I don't want to call it a low year, but it was definitely different in the games aspect. But there was so much other things going on besides just the games that came out. Like you said, this is the first year that there was no marquee franchise. I mean, we always get the Call of Duties every year. We get that, we get the third person, the first person shooters, third party games. But there was no real huge game that dropped this year that really took the attention from everything else. And I think that's kind of setting up a big 2018. For every company, and every company, honestly, from Nintendo to Sony to Microsoft, did fairly well across the board. Everybody was competitive. Everybody, sold well when it comes to the numbers. If you want to look at that, everybody had a fairly steady year. Nobody had a real dip in anything. I mean, there was stuff here and there that people made a big deal about. You know how that goes. Shit gets good for a little while, then it's a roller coaster. It goes down for a little bit, then it comes back up, depending on who you're a fan of, what company you follow. So I completely agree with you on that front.
What's going on?
And
what's going on? Go ahead, Hank.
And the only other thing I would say is, like, I think people also remember this year as the year of the Switch. Not just because it just launched this year, but because they really did change the game on how you launch a console. Because it's always been this idea that it's got to launch like in November, it's got to launch real late in the year, right for the holiday season. We've always thought this. We thought like you got to have at least 3 or 4 games at launch, and they proved everybody wrong.
Well,
they tried this whole new thing.
Nintendo tends to dance at the sound of their own drums. Now they have the exception of having Zelda and having a character base and having Mario, where you don't require, when the Mario games come out, you don't need to put anything around. Like, you don't need a long 5, 6, 7 game lineup when you got Mario and Zelda already out, or Mario slated to come out and Zelda already out. Like, you don't really need. I mean, because that's what Nintendo fans want to play. Like, that's what they're going to buy. They're going to buy the system. You're going to get casuals that are going to buy it for Mario and for Zelda. So they can get away with having 2 games at launch, or 2, 3 games, however many games it was. It wasn't very many. But they can get away with, when you have those iconic franchises like Mario and Zelda, it doesn't take people much to get excited. To get excited about those franchises. So they kind of had a leg up, and they kind of do things on their own any damn way. So I'm not surprised by them doing it the way they did it and being successful, because that's just kind of what Nintendo does. You know what I'm saying? So that's not really a huge surprise. But Kano, I'm gonna go ahead and move.
But don't you think they could have? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, no. You go ahead, Kano. We'll circle back around.
Yeah, we'll circle back. Go ahead, Kano.
For me, as I looked at gaming for the whole year, it has its ups and downs. You feel me? We got to see a lot of new franchises, especially from Bethesda, like what Anchorman said. Even though I still want a Rage 2, I still want a sequel to Rage 2. But honestly, though, it was actually the year of the Switch. We seen some stuff that what PlayStation has. We saw a few things that Microsoft has. We had seen new franchises came about, like Cuphead. We didn't know, a lot of people didn't expect it to go where it went, and so well. Then we have PUBG. It showed exceptionally well and it's doing well on Xbox. PlayStation, they had their Nier Automata and Persona 5. They had their little games and stuff. It was just a year of something new to showcase, not the big heavy hitters like they're pushing for next year. And that's why, next year will be the year of the games, since after the console talk is basically pretty much done now, especially when the Xbox One X just came out last month and is doing exceptionally well too. You feel me?
Yeah, and I think that caught some people off guard too. I think there was even a lot of Xbox guys who weren't sure about that X. I mean, because and this is the big thing. And I said this when they did the whole Digital Foundry thing, when they let Digital Foundry come early and get all of that technical shit out of the way early.
Yeah,
I said this thing. This is why they did that, man. You get them kind of questions out of the way early before the console launches, because those were going to be the questions that people asked as soon as it launched. It was going to take them 2-3 months to kind of shuffle their way through the bullshit ass questions before people can finally see the light and kind of look at the console for what it is, not break it down for what it isn't. So we'll let Digital Foundry in here 2-3 months before it ships, before it comes out, get them shits out the way, let them dissect it, go through it with a microscope and a fine tooth comb, get the questions out the way. So that way we can just drop a product that we know is already good. You know what I'm saying? So I think that because they did that, I mean, that's not the sole reason, but I think that because they did that, that helped them way later on down the line. With, when it finally dropped, you don't have those technical questions and people picking it apart. It's already been done. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and to speak on Nintendo, like with the Switch, I'm glad it actually came out because like I said, the Switch is what the Wii U supposed to have been, but obviously not. But the Switch is selling in its own right, and games like Mario and Zelda, those games need to come out in order for that Switch to sell. And I always say this all the time, that when a console comes out, exclusives is what is the key of why these consoles should sell. It's not just because of the hardware, it's the exclusives. And that's, it's like you pushing up a product. You have to tell them why the product is great. You feel what I'm saying? And since these consoles is out, since this X is out, the Xbox One X is great, but next year Xbox has a lot to prove now more than ever. Sony still got a lot to prove. Nintendo really got a lot to prove, and they're gonna push to the max and to the end of this generation of why their console is the best console on the market right now. You feel what I'm saying?
Good point.
So, does Sony have something to prove though? Really? Does Sony? I wouldn't say Sony has anything to prove. When you're on number one, you don't have anything to prove, at least towards the consumer. Because right now they're just kind of coasting off of the fact that they're popular.
Thing about it is, though, they still want to try to outdo themselves, so they still look at competition within themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though, like, if you look at the 360 did well. You feel what I'm saying? And if you look at how the Xbox is doing, Xbox is look at it, they're trying to put competition within themselves too, in order for their consoles to sell. They want to see how they can outdo their last generation. Same thing with PlayStation. They run from PS3, and they look how they did with the PS4, and they still trying to prove to themselves that they're the best console on the market. So they're in competition. I would just the other brands with themselves to outprove themselves. You feel me? Same thing with Microsoft. Same thing with Nintendo. You dig?
Yeah, no, I get that point. No, I completely understand. I get what Anchorman's saying too. I mean, you can't really. When you're looking from a competition standpoint, when you're in the league, I guess there's really no competition. But either way, I still think the fact that Microsoft is still innovative, they still do things, they still, in other aspects of gaming, they still do have a leg up on Sony, I guess, so to speak. And there's still always room to grow for these companies. I don't care if Sony sells 100, 200 million consoles. There's still always room to grow, as a company. So Live, I know you came in here a little bit late, man. But we just talking about 2017, like big moments, man. Like what are you gonna remember from 2017, good or bad?
Big moments.
For you, particularly.
For me, I would say the X is a big moment. But I mean, you know what? That was kind of to be expected. You know what I think is big, man? That PUBG, bro. That PUBG is surprising. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I thought it would be good, but I didn't think it would be this good. Because like looking at it on streams, it looks fun, but it doesn't look like when you play it. And then it's not until you play it that you really understand why people enjoy it the way they do. Because if you're not playing it, it's really hard to really like get. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like it's okay, but how's it any different than any other shooter that I've played before? I don't know. It's just the tension is there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of plays like State of Decay. Like if you look at State of Decay and look at PUBG, they look very similar. Mm-hmm. And you kind of do a lot of the same things. The only difference is instead of running from NPC zombies, you're running from actual people.
Yeah,
that's the big difference.
Yeah. So I mean, PUBG. I kind of want your opinion on PUBG, Anchor Man. I mean, I know that it was on PC early in the year, and a lot of the PC guys got it early, and it's been there for a while now. Did you see it as being as big as it is? Did you kind of predict that, or did you see that coming?
Well, I didn't really give a shit, honestly, because it was I looked at it. It was kind of this this PC space, and I was like, this is like, see, the thing about PC is a lot of them, and this is one thing that console guys don't particularly do very well, is that PC guys will like rally behind something. And even if it's small, they'll have a very dedicated fan base to it. Like, here's an example. There's a game called Depth. It's literally Evolve, but with sharks and divers.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And it's fun as hell. But it's a small PC game. It doesn't get a lot of attention. But that fan base is so devoted. They play that game forever. And but there's not a lot of them, but they stick around. Like, console guys are kind of more like flavor of the week. And there's a handful of games that will keep everyone's attention beyond the flavor of the week kind of game.
Yeah.
But it just in general, we kind of move around back and forth a lot, but we don't really stick with one thing very well. And PUBG, I kind of just thought was kind of like another game like that, like a Left 4 Dead or a like a Depth or something like that, where it was a cool little thing everybody was getting into, but it was going to have a small dedicated fan base for a long time, but it wasn't going to have like a real big following like it is now, 30 million strong.
It's crazy.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah. In literally less than a year? Less than a year, I believe?
Yeah, less than a year. It came out, I think, I want to say, not April.
March?
A little earlier.
March,
something like
April?
that.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, that's crazy.
Is huge. And that's the thing about it, too, because PUBG is... This is kind of like what Phil Spencer was talking about a little earlier this year that he got a lot of flack for, saying, like, oh, well, single-player games, they're not... Like, they're good and they're great, but there's just they're not the way they used to be necessarily. And now I think also when people talk about, I always talk down like multiplayer only games, like people have strong memories of their experiences from PUBG. Like they can remember crazy stuff. Things that they like, just little things, like you remember your scenario when you get your first chicken dinner. You remember like just little things, like little instances, and they have strong meaning.
You know what I remember?
As strong
what I remember? I remember the ones that I lost versus the ones that I've won.
Yeah,
like the ones
getting hit by a car in the lot 10.
Yeah, that's what I remember, getting shot in the back when I couldn't pull. You know, I felt like my gun jammed. When 100 shot me trying to shoot the guy in front of me, and then he was like, "Wait, hold up! Oh, there's friendly fire. Yeah, you killed me. Like, thanks."
Thanks.
Sweet. No, you're absolutely right. PUBG was kind of that. I didn't understand how big it was also too till it hit the Xbox. Me and Pred have actually been talking about PUBG for a little while. Shout out to Pred too. He's been playing it since it started on PC. I think he told me back in March-ish. It was around March, April, around that time frame. And he told me that the game was catching on. I mean, he wasn't super duper into it, but he was playing quite a bit of it. And then he saw it kind of coming, for a little while. Once they announced it was going to be on Xbox. And then even people, when they announced it, thought, oh, this is kind of a flash in the pan type deal. It's going to be, but this shit's turning into Minecraft level. Like I'm not going to say it's Minecraft, but it's to the point to where it's undeniable now.
It's really copycats. Copycats everywhere.
Yeah, you can't really.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it. I feel like it justified the whole Game of the Year awards. Even if you don't like the fact that it's a preview game, that one Game of the Year, you can't deny its impact. You can't deny the numbers. Even the way you slice it, there are some people who are numbers guys. I'm not a numbers guy, because numbers can be, there's some outstanding, variables in numbers. But I'm an impact guy. You can see it, like you see it with PUBG, like everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that it's literally the most streamable game to come along probably this generation, probably outside of like GTA or something like that. It took over like Twitter, not Twitter, but Mixer. It took over Twitch, like completely took over Twitch. Like everybody, remember going on Twitch like a year ago where it was just what was the top rated game on Twitch? Like fucking Dota or Hearthstone, games like that all the time.
Yeah.
And PUBG came along and just took a shit on everything. And now the only like just took a crap on the entire streaming market, and that's a like only thing. All the biggest streamers are fucking just streaming PUBG.
Yeah, they dedicated a whole channel to it on Mixer, so that should tell you
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy, insane. All right, guys. So that was a good topic to start off with. Now, you guys let us know once again. Shout out to everybody who's here rocking out live. Shout out C Trigger, She Wolf, my boy Mike in the chat, guys. These questions are not only for us; they are for you also too. And great question, C Trigger. We'll answer that towards the end of the show, brother. Stick around. We'll get that answer for you. So, next topic, man. Biggest game of 2018. 2018 is around the corner, and I know Anchorman. He doesn't necessarily like doing these shits way ahead of time, but I'm gonna put you under the microscope any goddamn way because it's been so long since you've been on here. But biggest game for you guys. It just maybe a quick prediction on what you guys think is gonna be a game that just blows up. Maybe it could be a game that we know is coming. It could be a game that maybe we don't see coming. Maybe you heard something about it. Maybe you just think the game is gonna be a lot better than it maybe is advertised to be. So we're gonna start with you on this one live. What do you think, man? Any console, it doesn't matter, PC even. What do you think is gonna be the biggest game of 2018?
I think it's probably gonna be Sea of Thieves. I want to say Crackdown, but I mean, because I think Microsoft's in a good position because they finally making multiplayer games. Like I know a lot of people talk about how some of the games that are new IPs came out and they didn't sell that well. But if you pay attention, all those games that didn't sell well, they're all single player, all of them, every last single one of them. So like I think Sea of Thieves being multiplayer, I think it probably won't blow up like instantly, but I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the year you see it with like huge sale numbers because catch on like Roblox. Like I didn't know Roblox sold that much. I'm looking at that game like Roblox really? Like kids are addicted to that thing.
That shit is huge,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and even look at the game like Fortnite, like even though it's free, yeah, I get it, but they still sold a decent amount. And it has a very similar, Sea of Thieves has a very similar, art style.
Yeah, so, cartoony, that kitty cartoony kind of feel. Yeah, but I think Sea of Thieves even has more potential than the reason I think Sea of Thieves has so much potential because it's the only game like it out. It's not in anybody else's lane. I mean, there are other games. I know you guys told me a couple weeks ago about a game that I think EA is coming out with. It's a pirate game or something. You guys had mentioned. I can't.
Oh, it's Ubisoft. That's Ubisoft.
Ubisoft. Sorry, there we go. Ubisoft.
It's not boat combat.
Exactly.
It's called Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. Okay, so Skull and Bones. I hadn't heard about it, but that game isn't like Sea of Thieves. Like the what Rare is going to be able to do if the only thing is this game is going to be contingent upon the community. Games like Sea of Thieves are carried by the community. Why do you think Minecraft is so large? Why do you think PUBG is so popular? The community carries those kind of games, and if you give the community enough rope to be creative and say, here, this is a platform, we're going to let you guys use it to do all kind of cool shit. Not only, is it stream friendly, but we're going to put all of this cool shit in game and keep updating it every so often to give you guys new shit. That game can last forever. And this is what Anchorman said about community and about actually like why those games become these huge things. So I think that's why Sea of Thieves is going to be like huge. I think it's potentially could be huge. I mean, that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens, but I think that's a good choice though. Like Sea of Thieves for me too. I'd go with that one, especially being like a sleeper hit for me. I think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. So we'll see though. Were you done live?
Yeah, I mean, it's either Sea of Thieves or Crackdown. I think the only way and it's not that I don't think State of Decay is a good game, and I think it's going to have its numbers, but I think that State of Decay, because it's not really, it's just co-op and it's not like multiplayer. I think that's the only thing that prevents it from kind of taking either spot from Sea of Thieves or Crackdown. But Crackdown has to work, and so we don't know about that. I mean, obviously, we're hoping that the destruction is there, but as of right now, I played Sea of Thieves and I know what that game is.
Yeah. And that you can see that it's getting better. You see the progression, the things that they're doing. You see kind of a roadmap as to what Rare's got planned. So that's a big deal too. All right, cool. Anchorman, man. I know putting you on the spot. I don't give a damn. I know it's too early. Go ahead, let me know, man. Biggest game of 2018 for you, man.
For me, I got 2 games, and I got one that I want to be huge, and I got one that I think will be pretty big. The first one, the one I want to be huge, is Vampire by Don't Nod and Focus Home Interactive, because there's been this thing amongst a lot of the surveyors of the gaming landscape.
Yeah.
We've been watching Focus Home Interactive for the last 4 years, just waiting for them to break out. And Vampire is going to be a crazy awesome game. Don't Nod, for those of you who don't know, is the guys who made Remember Me. This is basically a true vampire game. It's going to be ridiculous. Like they're talking about you play a doctor in, I think it's if I remember correctly, it might be the 1700s, but in London during a time of cholera and plague. And so you're playing as a doctor, and so people trust you. So you can get close, and you can go into these infected areas. The thing about it is they're actually allowing you options that are going to change how the game is going to be played.
I didn't know that.
Oh, dude,
that's a good cover, though.
They're talking as a vampire, you're a doctor. They trust you. You work with that. And they said if you have the way your health works is the more healthy the target you go after, the more health you'll get from it. But if you go after more sickly targets, you'll get less health from it. If you choose to kill them, you killed a character in the game who can't do what they should be doing going forward. If you try to only drink from small little hobos and stuff, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage.
Oh wow!
You're going to be. It's going to be hard. But if you go after high end people, the example they used was if you go after a woman who's working as a nurse, it was keeping people alive in this one sector. If you if you kill her, she won't work for you. Well, she's dead. And the whole sector goes to crap.
Oh wow!
Or you can try to turn her, and then she works for you, but then she also has the bloodlust, and she starts creating other vampires, and there's going to be issues in that area going forward. Or you can try to not kill her and just work with her and help out the city, but you're going to be at a disadvantage because you're going to be at lower health. Or you can try to feed off of them long term, but there's a chance that they're going to turn as a result and not work for you.
Oh wow, that's a lot of dynamics.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane. And it's the full range of vampires too. You got your high vampires, Dracula types, and then you got your low vampires, we hang out in the sewers and we're killing, we look like rat people. That's going to be crazy, and I'm hoping that's the game that puts Focus Home Interactive on the map, because they're doing horror games. And not just in terms of we're doing survival horror. They're making a werewolf game. They're making Call of Cthulhu. They're making a vampire game. They're making all these really weird horror genre games. And I want to see them do really well. I hope they do well. The one I think that will be big is Anthem. I think that will be huge.
Okay. You think so?
If they do this right, go ahead. If they do this right, it has the potential to be huge. We're looking at a game that has a dedicated fan base, arguably more dedicated than Bungie fans. And
already?
They're not walking into. Well, it's BioWare.
Oh yeah. Okay, gotcha.
People are huge BioWare fanboys. This is a huge opportunity for them to walk in, and they haven't necessarily created any bad will towards them yet. They haven't really done anything like Bungie has necessarily, but they have a little bit of a thing to prove now, because the BioWare name was attached to Mass Effect Andromeda. They have to prove themselves a little bit more with this game, but this is a brand new franchise, a brand new IP. The potential for this to be good. and I'm excited. I want to see this game. I want to see what it's going to do. And yes, it's probably the best suited to be called a Destiny killer. But I mean, I don't like calling things something killer.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because the Destiny killer already came. The Destiny killer already came. It was called Destiny 2. And it wasn't just a homicide; it was a suicide too. So.
Yeah. Okay. No, I completely understand, man. So you said vampire. That's your hopeful. Then the Anthem is the one you think is actually trying to be. Okay. Cool. All right. What about you, Kano, man?
All right.
What about you?
I got two, but I'm gonna be brief with it. You feel me? Because All right. First off, I'm gonna say this, man. I'm a fan of open world games. I do love open world games. Right. Secondly, right. Be on the lookout for THQ Nordic. They got some games that I've seen that's very amazing. One of them in particular that I like is Biomutant. I seen that game. You're basically playing with like a raccoon, and he has that kung fu action RPG element in the open world. I like that type of game. If you might feel like that game is going to blow up. And the second game that I'm gonna say that's really going to sell some units next year. And people might look at me like I'm crazy. And I like this game. I like the series. Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3.
I thought you were going to say a good game like Darksiders.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts is tough.
I got really excited too.
That game is starting to feel like fucking it's starting to feel like a unicorn. It really is. Like I mean, I know it's coming, but it's we've been seeing that game since these consoles launched, bro. And it's just matter of fact, prior to them launching.
True.
And it's starting to feel like that game. I mean, you have a window. As great as Kingdom Hearts is, there's a shelf life. All right, and that shelf life, depending on the kind of game, depending on the kind of following. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3 gets a pass because it is like a cult hit, and it's huge, and people have like latched onto that game and the characters. But at a certain point, you got to deliver, and that the time is coming for Kingdom Hearts. If that thing either one doesn't come out, or two, if it comes out and it's not what people hoped it would be, there's going to be a huge backlash, and they're going to catch hell.
Oh, that's already going to happen. It's not going to be what people want it to be. I tell you straight up. You reach a point when you make people wait more than 2 years for a game, you're already lost it. The expectations are already gone.
Now, but I put it to you like this here, though. Other than that, though, besides the Kingdom Hearts, I say THQ Nordic is going to be that company to watch out for because they got a lot of games under their umbrella since they acquired a lot of games from THQ when it went bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? Like Destroy All Humans and all that, and all the other games that people have loved. They're going to come out with some heavy hitters in the coming years because they being smart on how they do everything compared to the original THQ. You feel me? So the way they gonna market it and the way they're going to strategize it out, way different. But go ahead.
I will agree with you that their Darksiders 3 is going to be dope.
Oh no, I heard the female character. I mean the female. What was her name? Which Darksider is she? I can't remember which one she is.
Oh, she's Fury.
Fury. There we go. Fury. Yeah, but the trailer for that looked awesome. And I've always liked the Darksider games low key. Anyway, Darksider games I always put in that there's a certain group of games that come out, and they seem to come out every year, every couple of years. And a lot of people don't know why. He's like, why does this game continue to be made? But they're low key good games. Like, there's a level. They're not quite AAA games, but they're right.
They're called AA games.
Well, AA essentially like a Just Cause. Like a Sniper Elite. These games come out. They're not quite AAA, but they keep coming out. And they're quality games. I mean, they're not for everybody. They don't really make this huge splash, but they seem to continuously get like reboots and new games. Darksider, I think, is better than those two. If I had to pick out of the three, I'd pick Darksiders, and I think this next one is going to be fucking great. I'm super hyped for it. So I love the first two. But I'm
glad you brought up AA games. Yeah. I'm glad you brought up AA games because this is as a side thing with AA games in particular. It's a funny little thing because back like in the 90s and the early 2000s, there used to be like a rating system, not in terms of how good the game was, but in terms of how you could classify a game. They had the A rating, so you had like B tier, C tier games, but like those are just like shovelware. That's kind of what you would call those. But then you'd have single A, double A, and triple A games, Over the years, we basically just said it's either AAA or indie games, so we don't really have a distinction between the two.
Yeah.
So we just seem to do that. But yeah, it used to be that you would get an A if you hit one of the following: if you had a big budget, if you had high critic scores, or you had what was it? The other one was a high critic scores. Oh, and you sold at least 1 million units or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, that was back then too. Things have changed clearly. So like a AA game was basically a game that had all those things, but was missing maybe one or two things. Like, okay, it had a good budget, and it had a good rating, but it maybe didn't sell a lot of units, or it sold a lot of units, didn't have a good budget, but had good ratings, or something along those lines. You figure something out. Yeah, and so like for me, I love AA games because like I feel like most of the time the issue is the budget. The budget's not that good, and so you see them have to get a little more creative.
Yeah.
With things, and you have like whole studios that are these AA games, like Starbreeze and Overkill. The guys made Payday 2.
Yeah.
You got, and also they're making the GTFO game. Then you got the guys who are making a Rebellion, who does the Sniper Elite series. Those are guys that are a lot of fun. And like they're making.
I always felt those kind of developers in a really cool space. Though. They have a nice little budget, but they do have some like a little bit more creative freedom than like a AAA studio or somebody that's like bound to all of these different things. So I feel like they've had a lot of freedom, and that's why I like AA. There's always a space for not so large games. You know what I'm saying? We talked about this a couple podcasts ago. Live remembers, I believe Live was there. We talked about AA's, and there was no more indies, and everything is like a AA or a AAA. You know, I didn't really look at the whole indie because even indies are blurring that line. I mean, look at Super Lucky Tail, look at Ori. Those are pushing the limits of AA kind of games.
The Witcher.
Witcher. You know, obviously Witcher was a AAA, but you know, there are other kinds of games that come out too. They're really pushing the boundaries of being like they don't have the budget. Like you said, Anchor, there are different categories, but if you just look at the game as just a finished product, it's about on a AA level. Like I wouldn't consider Ori is definitely, in my opinion, it's an indie, but it's definitely not. I wouldn't call it indie at all. You know what I'm saying? So just based on what it did. So I completely get your point though. That does make sense. So all right. Sweet. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. Once again, everybody in the chat, this is for you guys too. So do not forget, man, answer these questions. And whatever questions you guys put in the chat, guys, we will answer at the end of the show or towards the end of the show, guys. So now this is going to be fun. I know it's going to be a lot of probably people upset in the chat about this, but we're going to get some grades out. All right. I usually don't do this, but it's the end of the year. We're talking about 2017 in review. I want you guys to grade each company. You don't have to go in depth. I just need to grade. That's it. Each company, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. You can even grade the PC space if you can. So quick, Live. Start with you, man. Each company gets a grade. You don't even got to go into great detail. Just throw a letter out there.
I say PlayStation gets an A. Xbox gets a B minus. Nintendo gets a B plus.
Okay, sweet. Okay, that's fair. All right, what about you, Kano?
All right. Let's see. Microsoft gets a B. Nintendo gets an A. And Sony gets an A minus.
Okay, sweet. All right, what about you, Hank?
Well, I want to judge the PC space, but the thing is, you can't judge the PC space with a letter grade per se. It's just either pass or fail, satisfactory or non-satisfactory, or even else. Like, okay, that's what happens when you got like a first grader. Like you got like not satisfactory, like OS, like for outstanding work or something like that. And like, I give them an S for satisfactory. You passed. You weren't great, but you passed.
We'll take it.
Like it just Sony, I'd give them a B this year. They really coasted this year to me. I didn't really see them doing too much. And I got a PlayStation this year, no less. So I just didn't see them like necessarily doing anything that really pushed it over the edge. It's like, they got Horizon Zero Dawn, and then they had the exclusives that did come out weren't exclusives they paid for necessarily. It was just, we're Japanese games that we came out. We're on PlayStation side. It wasn't I didn't feel like they did anything to warrant anything else. And let alone like I look at like your events and such, like they really coasted this year. Every event, like E3, was here are all our trailers again, or new trailers for old things you already knew about.
Yeah.
The no new surprises. PSX, same thing. Like it was consistent. It was a regular thing for them, and they didn't really do anything. So I give them a B. Like you lucked out because you had a lot of stuff coming out this year, but that's kind of it. But it wasn't like you did anything necessarily. Xbox. I feel like I gotta split them up between there's the live team and then there's the game side. But I can't do that. I can't do that though. I'd give them a C, maybe a C plus, simply because like the live team was on fire this year. Like they did all this crazy stuff. They were bringing you features left and right. They had more features than games come out this year. They had more controllers than games come out this year. See, everyone else was doing a real good job except the games department, which was like, come on. So I got to give them a C. I'll probably go a C plus for them. I'll give them that much.
You better watch out. Nintendo. We're gonna come after you for saying
that. Switch and Nintendo. I'll give them an A minus. I feel like that's fair. They had a real good rollout launch. They actually launched a system in March and have 10 million units before a year anniversary. That's ridiculous. That's damn good.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so what I would do? Okay, so I already put in the chat. Everybody is watching. It's already. I kind of threw mine out there too while he was talking. So I give Sony a B plus, and it's because I felt like it was a steady year for Sony. Like you said, nothing too crazy from Sony. I mean, a lot of the press conferences were kind of meh. They kind of coasted, like you said. Xbox, I give a B minus, only because, like you said, the lack of games this year. There's plenty to play. Don't get me wrong, but the lack of anything exclusive really. Maybe even just one or two. I mean, they had a couple, obviously, but I mean, no big splashes on the gaming front. But they've done a lot in all the other aspects. The marketing's got a little bit better. A lot of cool features, a lot of things have kind of rounded out, some big surprises on that side of the fence. And then Nintendo, I give an A minus. I'm always, you guys know me, I don't give Nintendo a pass for shit. Okay, don't get me wrong, everybody has that soft spot for Nintendo, but at the end of the day, they had a great launch, just like you said, and I think that was about it. That was about it. I mean, from dropping the ball with these retro consoles, not making any more of them shit, so the demand is through the roof. I'd say that was kind of a low point. And then once the Switch came out, I mean, they kind of just took the foot off the gas. Like, yeah, we're gonna sell 10 mil. Doesn't matter what's going on. We're gonna just live off of Mario and Zelda again. And they have other games coming out. Don't get me wrong, but I just the launch was really what gave them that A. You know what I'm saying? And obviously the game of the year is Zelda. So I don't know. I wouldn't go too crazy with it. That's my grade. So you guys down in the chat, if you guys have any other grades or anything like that, let us know what you guys think about those companies. So, and this is always kind of the fun time in the show. Show's kind of winding down, and I always throw one question in just for different people and just for everybody to kind of have a fun topic with. So this last one, okay, since it's the end of the year, okay, scenario. And there's a doomsday bomb, right? Some character, some bad guy, some person says, hey, we're going to blow up the entire planet, okay? There's going to be no 2018 at all. We're going to blow up the planet. What video game character would you choose to save the planet? Okay, you got one character, not a team, but one character you would pick to save the planet. So it's on you, Anchorman.
Oh, come on, you're trying to think about this. Come on.
Nope. Gotta on the spot, buddy. On the spot.
Do they have to be like a official video game character? Like
yes.
Like okay, so if I were to go out and say Batman, like that wouldn't count because he's not necessarily he's a video game character technically, but that wasn't like he wasn't started there. That's why I want to clarify that too. That's
I'll let Batman slide. I'll let Batman slide.
Well, I'm not picking Batman. Hell no.
Oh, okay, I'll let.
I was using an example. So,
You want me to come back to you?
Yeah, come back to me in a minute. I gotta think.
All right, live. It's on you, man. Live. You already know what I do, man. One character, man. Video game character. Doomsday Bomb. End of the world, man. They're like, there's gonna be no 2018. You got one person you can pick to save the Earth. Who you picking?
Master Chief.
Ooh.
I don't know who else to pick. Who else do you pick for the job? He has a good resume.
Yeah, he's kind of had experience. Yeah, he has a kind of experience at saving planets. That is true.
You're not gonna pick you're not gonna pick Marcus because I don't think he's been able to kind of saving the planet, but not on that scale. And then you're not gonna do Mario because I don't know if any of his stuff translates.
Oh, I know who. I know who to pick.
All right. So you said Master Chief seems like the obvious pick. Honestly, I feel like we all kind of ran through him in our brains. Go ahead, Kano. It's on you, bro. Think about it.
Livewire took my answer, man.
Oh, okay. You was gonna do Master Chief also too?
Yeah, man.
I know who to pick.
My answer, man.
Okay.
I can't do nothing, man. I can't answer that one because Livewire took that one.
Okay.
I know who to pick now. I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier. This is like an obvious one. How did I not think of this?
All right, go ahead.
Kirby.
I know he's gonna say something crazy.
Kirby? No. Kirby literally has a black hole in his own stomach. Swallow the nuke. Done.
Oh, I got one after Anchorman. Just come out there.
I guess. Okay. No, I see the logic behind that. The real world, and Kirby is pretty much, he's not indestructible, but he has a good chance of surviving.
He has a pretty good chance. Anything you throw at him, he can suck it up. Literally.
That's true. That's true. From a utility standpoint, it makes sense. Tactical. Yeah. Tactical is what I mean. Okay, cool. All right, go ahead. You got another one, Kano?
Yeah, I might get flack for what I'm about to say though, man. Shame is up for Metroid, man, because at the end of the day though, the character goes against the grain and go against aliens and all that anyway. So that particular character right there will be the type that want to fight anyway. So True. That's why I picked.
Wait, did you say Metro or Metroid?
Metroid.
Oh, I was going to say Artyom from Metro? Wow, that's a nice pick. I don't know how he would do it, but that's
sweet. Okay.
He survived the atomic bomb.
Yeah, I like Samus. Samus is a good choice. Samus is a good choice. She's probably right up there with Master Chief. I don't know. Her resume don't really. Well, she has a long resume too, but it's not like Chief's, man. Chief kind of does that on the weekends, man. That's what he does. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, cool. So I would pick. This is kind of there's some logic behind this pick too. Okay, I'm going with Deadpool. I know it's kind of like Batman only because of his just inability to die from anything. So I mean it's kind of cheap too, and then also that was a good one too, Michael. The Doom guy, the Marine guy in Doom.
Oh,
would be a good choice too.
Doom guy, that's a good pick.
Oh yeah.
So shout out to Michael. He just Doom. They kind of I don't know if they'd be able to save the entire planet, but I think too. So experience with that too. So okay, cool. Now what I want to do, guys, since I'm out of questions, I'm gonna go back to a couple questions you guys asked earlier. And once again, guys, just drop a like on the podcast, drop a like on the channel, follow, subscribe if you guys have not done that already. So I'm gonna go back and answer C Sugar's question. And this is also to you guys too here on the panel. So he says, is it possible for Xbox to get a Japanese exclusive game? We've kind of gone over this before, but we haven't talked about it in a little while. So I'm going to start with you, Live. I know you got kind of quite a bit to say about Xbox and Japanese games, man. What you think? Is it possible that they're going to get an exclusive Japanese game?
No, not. The only reason why I say no is because Japanese people don't buy Xbox. So why would they get an exclusive Japanese game if Japanese people don't buy Xbox? Because they're not gonna. If Xbox gets a exclusive, I don't care what it is. Dragon Quest, $1 billion, and it's the best Dragon Quest ever, and it has the highest rating. They're still not gonna buy that shit.
Yeah,
because they don't buy Xbox. It doesn't matter what it is. They'll just play something else.
Yeah.
They'll write some hateful shit on Twitter and beg for it to come to the PlayStation or Nintendo, but they're not buying it on Xbox.
Good point. I mean, it's kind of I don't want to say that ship has come and sailed. I mean, I believe there's still things that Microsoft can do with Japanese games or publishers. I still think there's relationships there to be had, and there's still games that can come out. Will we ever see a Japanese exclusive? That's hard to say. You maybe it's hard to say. I mean, we got a lot of indie games coming. I mean, you got the Black Desert Online. You got a lot of the sizzle reel games that they showed in that ID at Xbox program coming to Xbox. But I don't know if you'll ever get. I mean, can you count those as exclusives? I mean, they're not AAA games, but they are.
No, but I mean, they're good to have. But I don't know.
I disagree with you guys. I think we will get one.
Really?
One. Just one. I think eventually it will happen, but it's not going to be for the Japanese market, really. It's going to be the fan base here.
And I hate to say I don't even say that. Anyway.
It'll be something like that. Like they'll get some pedigree Japanese studio and they'll make a game and they'll give them something just to appease the base who has asked for it every goddamn month.
Yeah.
They will do it.
All right, well then that's different. Now I'm thinking, as far as like a Japanese, like
you're thinking more along the lines of trying to convince Japanese people to buy.
Yeah, that's what
that's what you're thinking of. Nah, we're just talking about a Japanese game. Period.
Oh, okay.
People just want a Japanese.
Okay. If that's the case, they might be able to. I mean, they might. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go out and get a Japanese developer to redo Phantom Dust or something like that. They might try to do that, but how successful will they be at that? I don't know.
Yeah,
to be honest, you really need somebody with a Kojima type mind. Not necessarily with the throat baby type stuff, but I'm just saying, like, with more of the Metal Gear, real polished graphics, style of Japanese gamer. Game developer.
I think you're going down the right path with that. It can't just. I mean, well, this is the thing with Japanese games. Okay, this is what kills me when people say, "Hey, we need a Japanese game. Hey, we need a Japanese game." For one, the Japanese gamers are they play a completely different style of games. They're into a completely different, style of games, and they just don't usually play what we play. They're not really into the same things, just Eastern thinking. They're not really into the things that we play. They don't watch the same movies. Sometimes they don't like the same music, essentially. But those other avenues do translate a little better than video games. But also the biggest thing is that when you don't have that support and you haven't had that support all gen, it kind of leads me to believe that either one, Microsoft or Phil is looking at this like, what? Why bother time? And I think that's where you were coming from earlier, Live. I think that's the angle you were coming from. Like, what's the point when there's no market, right? Isn't that kind of what you were saying? But I do understand where Anchor's coming from, because it just feels like, I feel like Phil has great relationships with a lot of Japanese developers. He talks about them when it's brought up. Like I just talked to this person. We just flew to Japan, had a meeting here, talked to this studio, whatever, yada yada yada, over the entire generation. But if something comes out, I mean, he's really cool with that. The guy Sakaguchi, the guy who made goddamn Chrono Trigger, the father of Chrono Trigger. He's thrown a ton of names out there for Japanese developers. So maybe at some point they'll just say, what, fuck it. Here's a couple $1 million. Can we get a game from you guys? Maybe they'll throw some money at somebody though, but I don't know. Live. That's kind of, not Live. I don't know Anchor. That's kind of a stretch, man.
Yeah, I think if they're gonna,
I think it would happen. Like,
it might have to be like VR or something for me to believe. Like
VR.
If Xbox goes into the VR or augmented reality realm next year, and they get a Japanese developer to do some exclusive game for that, I think that's what it'll be. But like a traditional JRPG, I don't see it, because I don't think it's worth their time to create this epic, game that, like, maybe if you're lucky 500,000 people buy.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you do it correctly with the budget, hell, look at Hellblade. They sold 500 million, not 500 million, 500,000 copies, and we're profitable. Like the
but
industry's changing, man. Publishers, you don't need that much money to make a budget anymore.
But Anchor, we're talking about Japan. This ain't Sweden. The cost of living is way higher in Japan than wherever they made Hellblade. Japan is not cheap, man. That place is not cheap at all. It's like New York. It's like living in Asian New York. That's what it is. It's not cheap to live there. So, it's going to cost you some money for them to make those games. Now, if they decide to get a team of Japanese developers and station their ass in Switzerland or whatever, or Sweden, whatever is the cheapest place, for the next 2 to 3, 4 years, then okay. Cost of living's down. They, get drunk, make sure they have Asahi and, maybe Kirin and some other, sakis, whatever alcohol they like, and cool. You might have something, but without that, I don't know.
Okay, cool. No, Street. What about you, Kano? What you got, man? What do you think about it? You think we're gonna get a Japanese game at some point?
Yeah, I don't want to say no, but it just depends on what type of game it is and how it's progressed. Like, let's say America's basically mostly for the shooters and stuff. They usually first person, third person shooters and stuff. Japanese still make their tactical RPGs and action RPGs and stuff like that. So it's really just based off of what the consumers want to play. You know what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10 people like to play single player. Some people like to play single player games. Some people like to play multiplayer oriented type of games. So it just depends on what type of game it actually could be. Like, example, Scalebound, what that could have been. That was a single player, but it also had the multiplayer aspect to the game. You feel me? Where you could co-op and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So most of the games that's coming out from Japan as of late has been westernized. So it looks more westernized. You feel me? So it just really depends on what game it is that's suitable for the consumer.
Yeah, and I think Scalebound, if it would have come out, I think this is the biggest thing about Scalebound that people don't understand is that I think that was essentially literally like for Xbox, that was their foot in there was their hat in the ring, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Let's throw this game out there, check the interest. We're going to check the temperature. Are these games really that important to our portfolio? That was their game to kind of throw out there. That's kind of a good mix of single player RPG with a lot of Japanese players like, as mixed in with the multiplayer aspect a lot of American gamers like too. So I think that game not releasing had a huge impact because they didn't get to see, if we can really sell this type of a game, if there's still any kind of a market left to even bother. So I think that it's going to take either a sleeper hit or something that's like viral in Japan that Microsoft just decides to jump on, like a bandwagon kind of game that's already big over there, which I don't think that's going to be the case. I think if they do get a game, it'll be something smaller or it'll be some free-to-play type shit. I think that's why they're grabbing the Black Desert Online and a couple other those games that are smaller. But it's like a AAA exclusive. That's going to be tough, man. That's because, I mean, you'd essentially have to go grab something that was already made, like something that was already established in Japan.
No, but you know what though, PT, off to cut you off, but you know what though, I think about it though, PTK, I put it to you in his perspective. If Microsoft can renew that, what they already did the trademark for Scalebound, and they can get the right developers to actually create that game, because Phil Spencer went to Japan multiple times this year. So if that's the case like that, and they get the right developers and they make the Scalebound game come back alive, and it looks great and it looks phenomenal and it plays great, people, I think everybody and their mom going up wanting to play that actual joint. The thing about Scalebound is that it's such a negative, like it has so much bad press, at the time when it happened, like everybody just kind of like, oh, here we go again. Even a lot of Xbox guys. So it's tough to bring something like that back. You know what I'm saying? Because you've already taken that hit and the game never even came out. Now you can still do that and put the game out. Maybe it does well. I doubt it, just because the black eye is already there. Like the media has already kind of written it off. Like, oh, that game's not even really. Kind of, it'd be tough. They might tell everybody. But though they might end up changing. They might end up changing up the formula. It might look different, or probably might change up the perspective of how it was and what it can be down the long run. It just depends on what they want to do with that actual title for that name. If they want to scrap off of what they were trying to make with the game and come up with a whole new concept, or they might end up taking it back to that same entity. But I think they'll most likely change it into a whole new concept instead of what it was and what it can be. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, the problem with Scalebound is it was always going to be a niche game. As much as they wanted it to be something that could become huge, they looked at it as, all right, this is a niche game. We're taking a risk on this, but we're going to put a lot of money behind it in order to try to make it successful. They got duped, and basically they were told that they're going to have to spend more money to get the game to run the way it's really supposed to. And at that point, now you're looking at way more. You already overspent for it, right? You already spent I don't know, what they 40 mil, something ridiculous, right? So now they're talking about probably this, another 40 just to fix what they already have and what you already.
That's a big investment. That's a big investment. Yeah. And then you got to resell your fan base on the game all over.
Yeah, so you're talking about 80 mil. Talking about the game is not going to come out probably until, if it was going to still come out, until 2019. 2019, 2020, right? And then you can't only sell 1 million. Now you got to sell way more than that because you spent too much money, for that game to just be, finished. So they looked at it like, all right, it's cheaper to leave her than to keep her and keep on feeding her, and then nothing comes from this.
Yeah.
I've seen parents take their kids out of college because they was failing. They could have spent more money, but like, all right, well, such and such lost their scholarship. We can spend it on this kid. But they'd be like, look, man, this kid's doing some dumb shit. You know what? Forget this, man. Like, look, I'm done. I'm spending. I already spent like 35 grand on them. They got an F and 2 Ds, and like, nah, I ain't with that. That's basically how Microsoft felt. It's like, look, you give me all these low grades. You told me you were doing well. I found that you were partying. You know what I mean? You was doing Molly, and all of a sudden you telling me that you're not, that you need room and board. And I'm like, yo, I already paid for this. What's going on?
Yeah. That's a tough sell. I think Scalebound is a tough sell at this point, just because of what happened to it, man. It's tough to read. I mean, it'd be hard. Even hardcore Xbox guys would be like, I think they'd even take a second look. Like, I don't know about this. Like, they'd have to completely overhaul it and maybe do something. I don't know. I don't know what they could do.
Yeah,
what they could do with it? This is what they should do. This is what they could do. They wanted to redo it. I would say give it to their in-home team, and then make it part of the Xbox Game Pass. That's the only way you can have it. There you go. Or you can buy it for whatever the full price is if you want. But
does anybody know if they own the rights to that game?
Yeah, they own the rights to it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, maybe they can. If it's their IP, they can assume and do what they want with it. So maybe they'll revisit it at some point. I don't know if it'll be anytime soon. Maybe it'll come back in some other form with some other name title on it. But anyway, guys, that was pretty much the last question of the night, man. I just want to thank everybody for coming out, man, to the podcast. Everybody came out. It was live. Thank you, everybody in the chat. You guys are incredible. Thank you guys for Invader, She-Wolf, Whitey B. Everybody that was in here. I can't even see Trigger. What else? There's a bunch of other people in here. Michael, everybody else that was in here, guys. Thank you guys for rocking out with us. Let you guys around the panel. Let everybody know where they can catch you at. You got a YouTube channel. Let them know where they can find you at. We're gonna start with you, Anchor, since it's been a minute, man. So I know you kind of on ice right now. Let us know what's going on with you, man.
It's not too much. We're doing the off season right now for Tick Podcast and the rest of us. We're taking the holidays off, so we'll be back in about a week or two. We should get back to normal. We normally do Multiverse on Mondays, Tick Podcast on Saturdays, and Iron Lords on Sunday mornings. And pretty good stuff. Pretty much fun over at the Inner Circle Network. So talk to me on Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. It's Anchorman V2.
Sweet. Yeah, hit him up, man. Anchorman is a long-time friend, man. Awesome guy. So you guys hit him up. Super nice, too. So, live, man. Let us know what's going on with you, man, in the podcast. What's popping on the videos?
Oh man, it's your boy Livewire. Just put up my end of the year review. For just games in general. Not so much Nintendo talk because I don't really talk Nintendo, but everything else is pretty much up there. So yeah, check it out on my channel, Livewire Gaming.
For sure. All right, and Kano, man, let everybody know what's going on too. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You've been on a little ice too because of an injury, but let everybody know when you're gonna be back.
But I'm coming back. Actually, I'm coming back next week. You feel me? I'm making a return to YouTube next week. I got a lot of content coming. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. The Gamer Section podcast coming back next Monday. And I got some interviews. I'm be interviewing some developers coming up real soon. So y'all stay tuned for that. And make sure y'all subscribe to all of our channels. Subscribe to my channel, Kano's Gaming Section. You know, we all coming with it. You know, subscribe to Anchorman. Subscribe to PTK Blam. This is a dope podcast, by the way. And, you know, subscribe to Livewire. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody at IntermediateGaming.com. Intermediate Gaming, the crew. You feel me? The Gamer Section crew. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's on that grind, go ahead and keep doing what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? We all gamers at the end of the day. And we talking about something that we love. And let's keep going for 2018. We're gonna keep this gaming talk flowing, you dig?
All right, for sure. And it's your boy once again, PTK Blam, host with the most. You know, once again, guys, catch me call across the board at PTK Blam on Xbox Live. They're on Twitter. That's actually my first name and last name on Twitter. Sorry about that. I got to change that too. Also, you know, hit me up. You know, let me know if you guys want to play, whatever the case may be. Subscribe to the channel, guys. More content coming. You know, hopefully got everybody back next week. There was a lot of people out today. Shout out to Chuck, man. I know you're going through some things right now, brother. Prayers, family, everybody with you, man. I'll check on you a little bit later, man. Keep your head up, though. You're going to be all right, boy. Shout out to my guy, Predator, also, too. Happy birthday to his son. Also, my guy Jarhead, GKB, She-Wolf, everybody part of the family here live. Thank you guys for being on the panel, man. Please go subscribe to everybody's channel here. They got great content, guys. Got some big things coming up, man. Hopefully, I'm going to be doing some interviews, trying to introduce a new member. We'll see if we can link up and and get that all taken care of. But we're going to figure this thing out, man. More stuff to come. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. Same time again next week, next Thursday, 5 o'clock sharp. Don't be late, man. Lit Gaming, the most lit gaming podcast on YouTube, guys. So take it easy. We love you guys, man. Have a good one. We out of here. Catch you guys next week.
Peace.